Hello, everybody. Old Buck Dave again, episode 162 of Two Old Bucks. And of course, for Two Old Bucks, we need two of us, and the other one would be
Old Buck Dale.
Old Buck Dale. Old Buck Dale, welcome back, buddy. Well, not welcome back.
Yeah, I got you. I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Yeah, we've zoomed a couple times this week, but haven't actually seen each other in person, so we're having some withdrawal there, I guess.
Actually, that's a good point. Old Buck Dale's come up with the observation as how busy retirement can get if you throw in a holiday with a couple of medical activities and general chores. How really busy a person can be. So that's why we can't. I mean, like, oh, I got to do this. I got to pick that up. Oh, so-and-so's coming. I got to do this. I got a MRI. And I'm telling you, I was overcome. I said,
something tells me that when I'm going to ask you what's new, you're going to have something to say this time for sure.
Well, I've been on a constant rant about the healthcare system, having experienced.
Jeez, don't I ever know that?
Yeah, a healthcare system that was quite effective years ago. It was just a pleasant to tend to the health issues.
That was actually before there were healthcare plans, right?
Well, that was actually quite some time ago. Yeah. And I was impressed with it. I said, boy, this is wonderful. But I had quite an interesting morning, and I spent quite a bit of time trying to hook up with an ophthalmologist. And why is it more interesting? Is because there's a holiday, right? Because I have other things to do. There's other pressures on me to go this way or that way. And they're, of course, not working Friday, right?
Of course. Right. Or Thursday.
So my condition is tolerable, but
we're talking about your eye condition now.
Yeah, the eye condition. Otherwise, inflammation in the eye.
Okay, inflammation in the eye.
I've got this thing about eyes. I actually enjoy my sight. I enjoy being able to see out of both eyes.
That's a plus.
Dave, I got
Yep.
I've got a real big thing about losing your sight, and
you do.
From other experience as a small boy. But so I spent quite a bit of time leaving messages on the phones, trying different numbers. They said, if you're a new patient, click 1. If you're this, click 2. I just go down the list. I click them all. You know what I mean? One at a time. Are you a doctor? I click that one. See if anybody picks up.
It could be.
Everything gets put on hold. I get put on hold every time. And then finally I waited 20 minutes. I got through to somebody. They said, no, maybe you need to go to this branch or this location. And they put me back on hold again. And then they never picked up. So finally, actually just a few minutes ago, since I was working on this all morning, someone answered the phone and understood, what I was talking about. And they said, well, okay, I think you'll be fine if you continue to do that. We'll get you in on Monday, and we'll diagnose it, and we'll get you back going again. But how many days is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4 days I have to hang on. So that's going to be my mission in life. I think I'm going to find some way to bring the attention to the world that we can simplify this medical system if they do one thing and require medical practitioners to have someone just answer the phone.
Well, there's a way that you can make that happen,
Like what? What do you think?
I think we briefly talked about this. Well, we might not have talked about it on the podcast, but I know we talked about it. For example, my cardiologist's office offers a concierge service where for $3,500 a year or $3,600 a year, they will actually return your calls. Okay. And they will actually give you a scheduled time for an appointment, that sort of thing. That's where we're going, buddy.
Well, then healthcare is not going to be available to anybody. Of course, I think I said years ago on a podcast, or a long time ago on a podcast, I said, if you can't afford healthcare, you don't deserve healthcare.
There you go.
Hey, on a lighter note, I got to tell you this.
Tell me.
On a lighter note, since we do meet for coffee when we can, I was introduced to a mom and pop. Well, they're a young couple, but a single owner coffee shop hidden in a little offshoot in a strip mall. And a strip mall, for our European listeners, is just a little long shops all hooked together. And this is an offshoot of one of them. And sure enough, we walked down this little hallway, and therein lied a cup of coffee that was really, really, really dark and smooth, and it came in an actual porcelain cup.
Wow.
And I'm going to take you there sometime.
Okay. I'm ready.
So that's a plus on today's morning activities. And then, of course, I was looking forward to catching up with you this time of day. So here we go.
Okay. So
what's up with you? How you? What's on your mind?
Of course, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. That means we're recording this on Wednesday, the 22nd. For anybody that needs to do the math, it'll drop Friday. It'll drop the day after Thanksgiving. So thinking about Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving is before ours. They're the second Monday in October, I believe. And I asked the Canadian about this, and he said, in Canada, the weather's too bad by the end of November. So we just have it earlier when we can still travel. So I don't know if that's the real reason or not, but anyway.
That sounds to me like they were looking for a holiday.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I was talking to this Mexican woman yesterday, and, we're talking, Thanksgiving and turkey. She says, well, Thanksgiving is really not a Mexican tradition. And cooking turkey in Mexico is also not a tradition. She said, since I've been here, I've dried out several turkeys. She says, I just cannot make that stuff. I cannot make that bird. She said, but the kids like Thanksgiving. They like everybody getting together and having a meal and enjoying themselves. And that's I think what everybody gets out of it.
I'm certain that Thanksgiving by any other name would be the same meal. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's have fun Thursday or whatever it is. And we all get together and take a day off. And so it's a good name. Everybody uses an excuse just to get there. Although I admit Thanksgiving is an opportune time to visit and actually slow down. And I would love to own a supermarket when this time of year. They're just clean the shelves out.
This woman, she said, last year I ordered a pre-baked turkey. Okay, pre-baked. And she said, everybody raved about it. And he said, oh, this turkey's so good this year. What's your secret recipe? Right? She says, oh, I can't tell you. It's a secret. And she said, they all loved it. She says, I got my bird's going to come again. It's going to come pre-baked again, and it's still going to be my secret. So I thought that was good.
Did they just warm them up then, do you think, David?
Yeah.
Well, all the best. I guess if this is if we broadcast this after Thanksgiving, I'm going to have to wish everybody that they had a great one, that there was no unseen drama or trauma, no car breakdowns, nobody dropped a turkey on the floor.
They're getting stuck in a snowstorm.
Nobody got angry at each other over why they didn't send them a birthday card. Nobody fought over politics. They just
well, we can keep our fingers crossed and hope. Yeah.
Maybe just peace for one day amongst the families around the world. There you go.
Hey, so, I've got 2 Thanksgivings tomorrow. That's going to be interesting.
2 Thanksgiving meals?
2 Thanksgiving meals. So yeah. So for lunch, we're going to St. Pete and going to have Thanksgiving with the Ukrainians, including the refugee family that came over. So we'll get a little bit of a update on how's life for them, what's going on in their world now as they settle into the U.S. and have jobs and the kids are in school. So that should be fun. Then in the evening, we are going out to dinner with a British couple that we've known for, 10 years or so. It's kind of become a tradition to go out with this British couple. They're even older than we are, and they're just a whole lot of fun. It's just a lot of fun being with them.
And, well, that's an interesting twist on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So
well, I wish you all the best of that. Have fun with that.
You.
I'll be with a family that has several children and many grandchildren. So it'll just be
take your earplugs.
Yeah, and the eldest folks there are 89 and 87, and then I fall into the next bracket, and then everybody else will be younger than that. But it's always fun, you have the right to sit down and do nothing while all this chaos is going on around you.
Yeah.
And you eat a couple spoonfuls of this and a couple spoonfuls of that, and then look for a football game.
So this being the day that it is, I just want to mention a couple presidential-like things. Of course, we lost our First Lady here, Rosalynn Carter, at 96. Jimmy, of course, is still with us. In my mind, the best ex-president and ex-first lady ever. Jimmy was not my favorite person as a president, but boy, he has just done so many nice, great things in his life. And as has Rosalynn, she elevated mental illness as something that that should be talked about and treated, and of course,
now,
in his Habitat for Humanity.
Oh, they were real philanthropists when it came to that, to donate their time and notoriety to those things, and they could walk amongst the people.
Yeah.
They could walk amongst the people. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but old Buck Dell met the Carters.
Really?
I met them, and my job was to take them where they wanted to go. And
You're kidding.
I was.
Can you tell me more about this? Is this when
I
you
was
were
a driver.
in KGB or?
No, it's just that I was in a position. I was free, and I had all the trust and clearances to do that, and so they said, "This is what we want to see, and this is where we want to go." And there was the two of them, and another person in the back seat, I think, was related to them. Me and one of their Secret Service agents in the front seat, and they said, "Thank you very much, and we'd like to see this." And I said, "All right, hold on, guys." And
wow,
can
you tell us where you took them? Or
I was
going to have to kill me.
No. I mean, I showed them some not aviaries, but places where there were wild birds. They like birds. They wanted to see any species of birds, anywhere there were birds. They was always fascinated in animals. They were a couple that could move around freely after being president. There was no bulletproof cars or nothing like that. It was an honor. It was an honor.
I would guess.
For a couple hours.
I had no idea that. No, that was kind of your brush with greatness there. That's great. That's wonderful. Anyway, keeping up with the presidential theme, unfortunately, today is the 22nd of November, and we know what that is. This is I think our listeners know what it is. It's the 60th anniversary of JFK's assassination.
So we were together. We were together that day.
We were together. Well, yeah. Well, we were in the same. We were in the same school. I don't know. Were we in the same room even?
I don't know if we were in the same room. I was up by the principal's office. It was somewhere. I thought it was
as usual.
I was either in detention or in the lab.
In detention.
I think it might have been in the lab.
Yeah, I was in. I remember I was in Miss Neff's class, and the principal, Mr. Brizzy, stuck his head in the door and said, "The president's been shot. They think he's dead." And like, wow. And we were reading a story about Abraham Lincoln in class right then.
I'll be darned.
So
yeah, that day lives in infamy in our hearts. We know what that felt like.
And everybody can remember where they were when they heard the news. So anyway, I'd be curious if our listeners would care to share that with us. Where were you when you found out about JFK? So send us a note or send us a voicemail, and maybe we'll talk some more about that.
Can I tell you another little anecdote that's
I wish you would.
associated with that?
I wish you would. You met JFK.
No, I didn't meet him. But you were talking about Mr. Brizzy, the principal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of our listeners that we know from way back in those days, old Buck Fred.
Oh, yeah.
Old Buck Fred sent me a note and said he was going with a couple of the other, not our age, but it's a couple of younger bucks, they were going to a game, a basketball game, where Brizzy's great grandson was playing.
Wow.
So that
Wow.
that line, that lineage lived on, and they
Oh
went down to
man.
see him play because he was such a great guy, and we knew
He
that
was a
family.
peach.
So
He was
yeah,
just, I mean, we were lucky. We had,
we were.
we had some good male role models in school with,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Brizzy and Mr. Kokenauer and a couple other guys there. Yeah.
Oh, they had plenty of time to crucify me. Oh,
Well, you deserved it, probably. I know you just, what you
I
got
think
away with.
I think their goal was their honest goal was to get us through school,
Alive.
and in some fashion to get as much as possibly
Mm-hmm.
into us and have us leave with some hope of success or surviving after
Yeah.
that. So
Well, I
I
think
think
it
they did
took.
all right.
I think it
Yeah, it
took.
did.
I think
It did.
it kind of took. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a fond memory. That's an
It is a
interesting.
fond memory.
I didn't
Yeah.
know we were going to go down that way, but
Well,
all the old
we
bucks that
we're
remember
never
their
sure. We're never
childhood,
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
and those are memories that people around the world can relate to. There's got to be something in their childhood like that that was influential and maybe changed directions for you. So,
Yeah.
all the best.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we got a couple letters from afar again. So I want to chat about those for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Sound like a plan? Okay,
Sounds
this
like a
was
plan.
on talking about our last episode, 161, where we interviewed Agnes Shipper. We got really actually got several replies from the folks saying that they really enjoyed the episode. We got downloads from 6 countries on that one. So here's what I'm going to read one of the pieces of feedback we got. He says, "I enjoyed it. Remembrances of so many gut-wrenching, tearful, and painful stories personally told to me flooded my mind." He said, "By the way, all residents of Germany had documents going back 5 generations to prove their ancestry, whether Jewish or not. All the documents were issued by the government based on the city archives, which had all births and marriages registered." When I said whether Jewish or not, that's not what they were documenting everybody. This was what I'm trying to say. So
they just had the wherewithal to do that.
And he concludes, this is a he says, "I absolutely appreciated the touching and heartwarming how we met story. That's one for the ages." So there's a little bit of German in that fella. So a lot, actually. Yeah.
I would say I'm glad they enjoyed that. And I would just say Agnes is just a wonderful lady. It was a real honor and pleasure to have met her in our, as we pass through this time portal.
Yeah. Here's another one. "This interview was so interesting. I tagged it on my Libby app." Now, I have no idea what a Libby app is, but somebody out there will know what a Libby app is. It says, "Also loved the song." The song that the bonus track at the end was "Teach Your Children" by Crosby, Stills, Nash, and I think Young. Anyway, this listener says, "How about some Stones? Like Paint It Black, my favorite." and this is the best at the end here. It says, "Was glad to know I wasn't the only one who didn't know how to scroll down." So the legend lives. Yeah. So,
scroll down. Yeah.
Scroll down. Yeah. Yeah. That's great. So more and more listeners are with it here. We like that. Hey, speaking of Rolling Stones, here's one for you. Now they have an average age of 78. Okay. And they've got a 16 tour city coming up in 2024. Guess who it's sponsored by?
Geritol.
You're close. An organization.
AARP.
Yes. That's true. Good guess. Yeah, AARP is sponsoring his tour. That's just great.
That's funny. We're almost the same age as him, and I had trouble just getting through Atlanta on one stop.
Oh man,
oh my,
that's great. Yeah. Hey, speaking of AARP and old people like us, I've got something I'd like to read here. If you can bear it with me here.
Is that the story you sent me?
That's the story I sent you. Yes.
I think it's be a nice read. I think it'd be a nice, comfortable segue into this Thanksgiving weekend. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna sit back with everybody else
Sit
and
back and
listen to
listen.
you read that.
Okay. Okay. Now this is Anne Lamott. I talked about Anne Lamott a week or two ago, a couple of weeks ago, I guess. I really like her stuff. And this is, I believe this is an excerpt from her new book that the Washington Post printed. And she talks about, I don't know. Okay. I don't know. So if any of you are out there getting older, you're feeling differently, either physically or mentally, this is for you. And you know who you are out there. Okay. You know who you are. So if this strikes a chord with you, send us a note. Send us a note to 2 old bucks or send a voicemail. See what we'd be interested in your thoughts on this little excerpt that I'm going to read. Okay, now it says, here's the title is, At 33, I knew everything. At 69, I know something much more important. Today I woke up old and awful in every way. I simultaneously cannot bear the news and cannot turn it off. It's Cobra hypnosis, Gaza, Israel, the shootings in Maine. The world is as dark as a scarab. I have 2 memorial services on my calendar this week. A dear friend is in the hospital waiting for her liver, dying. She keeps reassuring me, I ain't in no ways tired. And I say, oh, stop with that, or I'm not going to visit again. I'm exhausted just driving 90 minutes to and from San Francisco to see her. My body hurt quite a lot when I got out of bed this morning, and I limped around like Granny Clampett for the first hour until it unseized. Worse, my mind hurt, my heart hurt, and I hated almost everyone except my husband, my grandson, and one of the dogs. I don't think I could have borne up under all this 20 years ago when I thought I knew so much about life. That was not nearly as much as I knew at 33, which is when we all know more than we will ever know again. But age has given me the ability to hang out without predicting how things will sort out this time, mostly depending on how I've slept. In Albert Bierstadt's Western painting, there is a darkness on one side, maybe a mountain or its shadow. Then toward the middle, animals graze or drink from a lake or stream. And then at the far right, or in the sky, splashes of light lie like shawls across the shoulders of the mountains. The great darkness says to me what I often say to heartbroken friends. I don't know. Is there meaning in the Maine shootings? I don't know. Not yet. My white-haired husband said on our first date 7 years ago that I don't know is the portal to the richness inside us. This insight was one reason I agreed to a second date, along with his beautiful hands. It was a game changer. 20 years earlier, when my brothers and I were trying to take care of our mother in her apartment when she first had Alzheimer's, we cried out to her gerontology nurse, we don't know if she can stay here, how to help her or take her meds, how to get her to eat better since she forgets. And the nurse said gently, how could you know? This literally had not crossed our minds. We just thought we were incompetent. In the shadow of the mountain of our mother's decline, we hardly knew where to begin. So we started where we were, in the not knowing. In the center of many Bierstadt paintings, you sometimes see animals grazing or drinking. They're fine. They're animals. They're just doing animals. But they are not the point. The point is the light. No matter how low you are, the light can reach you. It falls on animals, including us. This is positively biblical. Some of Bierstadt's animals are lined up at the water as if they're going to march onto Noah's Ark. Or they're huddled together as on a park bench, just hanging out. You have to wonder if the older deer are slightly surprised upon waking every morning, as I am, fumbling around for their glasses. The animals never seem to have anywhere to go. I used to have lots of places I had to get to. I had to go out for this or that, and it was an emergency, graph paper, I suddenly, urgently needed to drive to town for graph paper. Also, in the old days, when there was something to celebrate, I'd go out to a nice restaurant with friends. To celebrate now, I might exuberantly skip flossing for a night. And maybe if the news is good enough, the hip exercises. Wild times. In my younger days, when the news was too awful, I sought meaning in it. Now, not so much. The meaning is that we have come through so much, and we must take care of each other and, against all odds, heal imperfectly. We still dance, but in certain weather it hurts. Okay, always. The portals of age also lead to the profound, indeed earth-shaking understanding that people are going to do what people are going to do. They do not want my always good ideas on how to have easier lives and possibly become slightly less annoying. Now there is some acceptance, partly born of tiredness, that I can't rescue or fix anyone, not even me. Sometimes this affords me a kind of plunky peace, fascination, and even wonder at people and life as they tromp on by. The price of aging is high, constant aches, real pain, and barely survivable losses. But each time my hip unseizes, it reminds me that this life is not going to go on forever, and that this is what makes it so frigging precious. Another gift of aging is the precipitous decline in melodrama. Enjoying how unremarkable life is takes practice and time, and then the little things start to shine and delight. Life gets smaller, and in its smallness, it starts winking at you. On my first day back in New Mexico recently, the high desert looked barren and brown. Pretty, yes, but a little dead. Then the tiny desert flowers, yellow, lavender, magenta, and baby blue, made their way into my consciousness, and the earth shades of ochre and red started to warm me. And before long, the formerly dead desert was alive and awash in dynamic, undulating streams of color. Sometimes, at the right or the top center of a Bierstadt painting is a trippy splash of light, often a mystical, jagged slash that breaks through dirty-looking or white fire clouds. There might be bright reflections or long slanted fingers of sun shining down with the religious airs, organ music playing softly in the background, puffy rain clouds glow. All say, yes, there's the deep dark, but we have some light as well. Will my brothers or I inherit our mother's Alzheimer's? I don't know. I do know that I recently parked in front of my house and sort of forgot to turn off the engine. 3 hours later, a formerly standoffish young neighbor knocked on my door to tell me this, and I pretended to have known. I said the battery had been low, and so I was letting it recharge. Ah, she said. Now she is sweet when she sees me. We wave to each other when we pass in our cars, reflecting a new affection. Reflections say, in the dark, there's still some light around, so don't ever think things are too dark. We're not going to give you the entire reserve, but we just want you to know it is there, and more may be on its way. I think that's just a great little piece.
I don't know if old Buck Dell could top that.
I think it's great. It's good food for thought for anybody, particularly anybody who's struggling with our age. Yeah, our age and all the related issues that go along with it. Yeah.
Dave, I think that's a good way to top up this broadcast for our sort of Thanksgiving. Everybody can reflect on that. It was a great story. So I'm going to say this is old Buck Dell. I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving and look forward to talking to you next time.
And this is old Buck Dave saying the same thing. Nice time again. Talk to you all next week. Have a great holiday this weekend. Old Buck Dave saying bye-bye.